Wednesday night is rock.
Death Cab for Cutie exclusive with Ben K.
Evening, ladies and gents, I'm Ben K. We've got a bit of a special show tonight. It's all about Death Cab for Cutie, who are promoting their new album, Narrow Stairs, and the tour in the UK. I went along to the Colston Hall in Bristol to have a bit of a chat with Nick Harmer from the band.
This is the sound of settlement.
A little bit more significant for like our parents or somebody like that who can be like, yeah, my kid had a #1 record or something. I mean, for us it was just kind of came and went, but I don't know. It was certainly, I think if anything, it was really a testament to sort of how many, I guess how many fans we had that were just excited enough to get our record in the first week, that they'd go out and buy it then. I think that's always pretty nice. Yeah, I can't remember the number now. It was like, no, it wasn't quite that many. Not at all. It's not like it used to be in the States. I think that people just don't buy CDs like they used to. And I mean, you're sort of long gone are the days of. I don't think there'll ever be another rock band in the history of rock bands that sell like 25 million copies of a rock record like Pearl Jam or Nirvana did or any of that stuff. Yeah. You might sell 1 million copies of a record, and then 4 million people will download it. Like it's kind of like that now. But I mean, I'm not saying that is a bad thing necessarily. I just think that that's just a reality of the music industry now. So
with the new album Narrow Stairs, I Will Possess Your Heart song, it's got such a prominent bass line that seems to carry its way through the whole song. What made you want to keep the same tempo the whole way through?
I mean, the bass line in that song is something that when Ben turned the demo in, it was, just basically a piano song. It was him playing piano and singing, and I sort of immediately was gravitated towards the lyrical content of it because it was kind of a little dark and pretty kind of creepy,
I know that you'll find love.
Yeah, it's a little on the creepy side, it toes that line a little bit between obsession and whether or not obsession is a good thing or an inappropriate thing. I mean, I think everyone's been in a relationship in their life when they're so infatuated with someone else and they're falling in love, or they maybe haven't quite fallen in love, but they're just so excited about maybe meeting someone or whatever that they kind of keep thinking about them. And everyone knows the line where I guess it's nice to be the object of obsession when it's reciprocated. Like if someone came up to you and be like, I've been following you home from work and I absolutely think you're gorgeous and let's go on it, and then you're like, me too. But if you're like, I've been following you home from work, I think you're absolutely gorgeous, you're like, I think you're a creep. Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh crap. Yeah, exactly. You've been doing what? I'm getting a restraining order. Yeah, exactly. Get 200 yards away from me. Yeah. So I think that I was sort of really, I kind of connected to that early darkness that happens in the lyric anyway. And so when I was coming down, I really wanted to sort of contribute something to the song that would kind of reflect that a little bit and be sort of, I don't know, just kind of bolster that sentiment in some way. And so it just seemed really appropriate to me to sort of come up with a line that was really obsessive and repetitive. Yeah, exactly. Just like the thought of that other person in your head just going over and over and over again.
The song's over 8 minutes long. That's a great way to open an album. And I suppose it's a great way to open a gig with that just epic crescendo that just keeps building up. And then it just sort of like there's this emptiness where it just goes and then its lyrics come in and it's just whispering over the words and then it kicks back in. But the middle 8, when it goes, you reject my advances, and that's like the change when you sort of like, he's realised his obsession, but it's not reciprocated.
Yeah, exactly. It gets a little bit more aggressive right there, just a touch. But I like the fact that it never crosses the line.
I will possess your heart.
Like it's still, I don't know, it's just kind of right on that line, and I like that sort of internal dialogue feel that the song has. It's like somebody just kind of sitting on a train or walking around or sitting at work or whatever they're at, kind of having those thoughts about someone. And yeah, I mean, it works. We always knew when we released it as a single there would be a radio edit of the song, and of course we were more than happy with the fact that someone wanted to put it on the radio, so why not make it 4 minutes? But I really think that the song works the best in the sort of 8-minute long version of it, just because I almost need that sort of 4 minutes of grinding repetition to kind of just get your head into that cycle. And then when the lyric comes in, it really just kind of drives it home. So Yeah, it works for me that way. Some people are like, seems so superfluous, like it's such a self-indulgent thing to write an 8-minute song, like, but you're missing the larger picture of it. Yeah, exactly. That is exactly right. Yeah, you're missing but I don't want to hold everyone's hand and tell them how to interpret stuff, you know.
Britain seems, for some reason, slower to catch up to Death of Cutie. It seems like you've got such a cult following, university students, things like that. Why is, your music with all your harmonies and your melodies and your lovely intricate music you put together, why is it so slow to catch up to Britain?
I don't know. We've thought about that. I think it's always really important just because there's so much music that happens in Britain. I've felt that it's really important to get established early here. I feel like bands have to, like, the new factor of a band really counts for a lot. Like, people want to feel like they've discovered them for the first time.
It's a new album.
Yeah, exactly. And we're kind of old for some people, like, at least for the press. Yeah, it's just over 10. And
say transatlanticism was your turning point, but
yeah, I mean, it was sort of. Certainly transatlanticism is when we first started noticing a pretty big jump in our audience from kind of the number of albums that we were selling at photo album time, and then I think transatlanticism really caught on to, I don't know, a sort of popular zeitgeist that was sort of happening in the States a little bit, of a bunch of bands, a bunch of our peers, I mean, bands that we've known for years, that, we were all touring in this weird tour cycle that, making hardly any money, playing in these little clubs that no one ever come out and see us.
So many possibilities to not be alone.
There's so many kids out there who are constantly writing songs, learning their instruments, trying to master their art, put bands together when they're in school. And you guys are living the dream, so what advice would you give to our younger audience about chasing it and not giving up and how to fight for something?
I mean, honestly, like, it sounds weird. I really don't have any advice to give. I mean, things have changed so dramatically for bands in the last 5 years, not to mention the last 10 years since we started. And I mean, the things that were important to us at the time, I mean, we still don't have a very strong online presence as a band because, that came in later into our career. I mean, it was only like a few years, 4 or 5 years into us making records that suddenly it was really important for us to have, a MySpace page and all these other things that we were like, what? And that seems like the first thing that people have to have nowadays. It's like you have to have these outlets online to kind of share your music. I still think, actually, I guess if I have any advice to give any band, I really feel like there will never be a substitute for getting in a van and going on tour, playing live shows. And I really feel like that's where a band is made or broken, right there. I mean that internally as well as externally, Yeah, you just live in a van together and go on tour and make $50 a night, 25 pounds that would be, I mean, I don't even really know, just go and play music as much as you possibly can, because I think there's no substitution for being able to play a live show and play it well. I think that a lot of bands now can make great records in, the comfort of their own homes with the way that technology works that way, or even, in a small studio. They can get that record out, they can distribute it in all these new creative ways. People can find out about them all over the world almost instantaneously if that's the way that they need it, or, the kind of way that it goes. But if they stand up in front of all of those people for the first time and they can't play and they can't prove it, everyone's going to be like, sorry, we're done.